All right, guys, we got one. We got one of the new Axial Gilamons. I know I pronounced the name pretty funny when I first saw it too, until I heard how it was pronounced. But we're gonna cut this thing open and check it out. There it is. The new Gilamon. It's a 2.218 scale buggy. Thing looks pretty cool. Checked out some of the commercials and advertising for it, and just thought it was something different, so I figured I would order one and give it a shot. So here's the box for it here. I ended up doing the red and white and black one. Thought it looked a little cooler. So this thing's got the new ASD selectable drive for the rear end. Got the APX8 platform axles. The new AF16P portal axles. Got the internal spring shocks. And looks like you get some new drive shafts, plastic and metal combination there. And there's some information about the electronics. Looks like a 21 turn brushed motor. Pretty standard electronics, nothing super crazy, so we'll probably be upgrading those. Figured the first few things I'll do is upgrade the wheels and tires, and probably the electronics for sure. Let's cut the box open and check out the inside. Looks like this first box here is going to be the transmitter there. Standard Spectrum DX3. Nothing fancy. And then the buggy itself. Inside the box, looks like you got a few extra things in here. Not sure what these little rubber things are for, but we'll find out. And then you get the owner's manual, some batteries, extra lights. So as far as first overall impressions, this thing is looks pretty cool. Axles look pretty beefy. Links look pretty beefy. Tire foams feel pretty good. I mean, compared to most, I feel like they will probably do better than most standard stock foams. The interior is pretty cool. Looks like you got a couple drivers in there. Some stickers for the scale switches, panels. Take a closer look. So as far as looks like some of the functions, you got a lot of your switches underneath here to turn on the electronics. Looks like the battery tray and everything's up front. Supposedly that just pops up, and then looks like that just clips on. So got some clips there, and those will clip onto these two posts down here. So kind of a quick disconnect setup there. Looks like you got a plug-in and strap for your battery in there. And then all your electronics and everything are tucked away behind these side panels here. I'll pull those off and we can take a closer look at those. Alright, taking a closer look here. I got those two side panels off. I won't go too crazy into some of it because there's already a few videos out there of people that have already completely taken it apart and showing you piece by piece. But as far as some of the electronics go, you can see they're tucked in there pretty good. You got your receiver back there behind the transmission, your motor up front underneath there, so hopefully pretty good weight there. And it looks like the receiver is under there as well behind the transmission. Nice 4-link setup front and rear, which is pretty cool. Looks like all the wiring is pretty well cleaned up. Everything's zip tied really nicely in there, ran to the front, so not too many complaints there. Usually the wiring isn't done the best, but that's pretty clean. So I guess we'll pop these panels back on and get some batteries in. Alright, we're going to power this thing on and play with some of the buttons here and see how it does. Just going to mess around with it on the bench for a little bit. Do its normal startup there. See how this, so it looks like there's a button on the back of the roll cage there for the rock lights. Oh, that's pretty cool. I'll turn the lights off here so we can check those out. So here's the rock lights there. Pretty much pitch black in my garage, so these aren't crazy bright on camera, but in person they look like they got a little bit of light to them. Looks like you got a few different color modes before they shut off there. Turn the lights back on. Alright, let's mess around with this thing on the bench here and just gonna see how it does. So it looks like for the selectable rear drive there, you got A and B on the controller, so that will control the left or right side and lock out that one tire, so that way you can almost kind of like a dig, except for a 3-wheel drive, and locks whatever wheel you're trying to select, left or right. Standard steering, not the craziest, but for factory steering it seems like it's pretty responsive. And you got all your adjustments on the top of the remote there for personal settings. Let's see how this thing does. Looks like it's got a pretty good crawling ability. This is just barely on the trigger there. Not too bad for brushed. And that's that one wheel lock up there. I'll lock up that inside. Well, looks like it's locked up both rear tires. Unlock. Lock up that left side now. Seems like it's got pretty good weight balance. this thing is going to be super fun on the rocks. Alright guys, you tell me what your opinions are, if you guys think this thing's a pretty cool rig. I've heard a lot of mixed things on the internet about people saying that it wasn't their cup of tea. I figured I'd give it a shot because it was something different. Next video I'll probably compare this thing to my 110 scale buggy and my SCX6, and that way you can kind of see the overall size differences of the three classes there. But this thing looks like it'll be super fun. Can't wait to see it on the rocks.